There are cases so chilling, so buried in mystery, they begin to feel like folklore. The kind passed around campfires, stitched into whispers. But this is real. February 9, 2004. A snowy stretch of Route 112 in Haverhill, New Hampshire. A blue Saturn sedan crashes. No blood, no footprints, no screams, just a running car and the silence of trees. That was the last confirmed trace of Maura Murray, a 21-year-old nursing student with her whole life ahead of her. What happened after that crash has haunted the true crime world for 2 decades. This is the disappearance of Maura Murray. And the question is not just what happened, but why hasn't anyone figured it out? She was bright, athletic, determined. Maura Murray grew up in Hanson, Massachusetts, a track star, top student, West Point cadet. She was headed for a future full of structure, prestige, and service. But somewhere along the line, cracks formed. She transferred from West Point to UMass Amherst to study nursing. To friends, she was still high-achieving. But behind closed doors, Maura was struggling. Emotionally, mentally, maybe even existentially. Her father called her responsible but under enormous pressure. Some Reddit users speculate she might have suffered from a dissociative episode in the weeks leading to her disappearance. Others think it wasn't just stress. It was secrets. A hit and run involving her father's car, a possible pregnancy, a strained long-distance relationship with Army cadet Bill Rausch. Her college record had blemishes. Her part-time job at a dorm security desk ended with a bizarre phone call where she broke down in tears. One user on Our True Crime wrote, "It's like she was preparing to vanish long before the crash. Was it coincidence? Or was it the early echo of escape?" February 9th, 2004. It starts with a lie. She emails professors saying there's been a death in the family. There hasn't. She clears out $280 from her bank account, buys alcohol, vodka, Kahlua, Baileys, wine, packs a few belongings, prints some class materials, and leaves Amherst. Her destination? Unknown. Some speculate she was heading to Bartlett, New Hampshire, a place she'd visited with family. Others say she was just driving, nowhere. By 7:27 p.m., her car veers off Route 112 into a snowbank. It's not a high-speed crash. The airbags deploy. A few bottles of alcohol are found in and around the vehicle. A rag is stuffed into the tailpipe, a strange detail that still baffles investigators. Moments later, a school bus driver named Butch Atwood sees her and offers help. Maura insists she's already called DTA. She hadn't. Butch drives off, calls 911 around 7:43 p.m. At 7:46 p.m., police arrive. Maura is gone. Once Maura's case went cold, it passed into the archives. Until it didn't. In 2009, New Hampshire troopers officially reopened the investigation. But what goes into reviving a 5-year-old disappearance? Search teams were assembled, cadaver dogs were brought in, forensic analysts re-examined the Saturn, and every witness was re-interviewed. According to press releases, detectives meticulously logged snow patterns, reviewed cell tower data, and checked logs from nearby gas stations and bars. But even the best-intentioned investigators hit a wall. The pixelated 2004 cell coverage didn't provide GPS coordinates, only approximate tower pings. And by then, 6 months of dark New Hampshire winters had swallowed possible footprints or evidence. One detective admitted, sometimes reopening a cold case is like coming to a crime scene 10 years later. We're looking at memories, not facts. The scene is eerie in its simplicity. The car is locked, the windshield cracked. No blood, no signs of a struggle. No footprints in the snow, though snowfall may have covered them quickly. Investigators suspect she ran into the woods. But here's where it gets strange. Her cell phone, debit card, and keys were missing. Her packed bags, class assignments, and a favorite stuffed animal were still in the car. No dogs picked up a trail. No scent, no heat signature, no surveillance footage. She was there, and then she wasn't. As days passed, questions mounted, but urgency didn't. Why? Because Maura had been classified by police as a runaway, not endangered, not abducted, not missing in suspicious circumstances. A young woman drives hours away from college, crashes on a remote road in winter, and disappears into thin air. And it's labeled a runaway? That label might have killed the investigation before it even began. Behind every missing person is a family left on edge. For Maura, her brother, sister, and parents became tireless advocates, searching roads, pleading with law enforcement, publishing billboards, conducting candlelight vigils, refusing to let her slip into obscurity. Her sister Julie said in a 2010 interview, "Every family dinner is missing a chair. We're missing her." Fragmentary DNA from Maura's belongings was retested. Age-progressed sketches were circulated. The family set up an online tip hotline, saw hits from Europe, Canada, Asia, and yet, no real leads. Imagine living in that in-between world, hope fueling the next search, grief shadowing every waking moment. Their persistence kept the case alive, but also drove people online to feel they had a role or a message. The initial police response was limited. The first 36 hours, crucial, but wasted. State police didn't take over until days later. The FBI wasn't called in until her father begged. Local searches were small. Communication was poor. Leads went cold quickly. Even the dog team's search was questioned. Did they start too far from the scene? Was the timeline accurate? And then, there's the car, the rag in the tailpipe. Why? Maura's father claimed he told her to do that if the car was running poorly. But online forums exploded with other theories. One Redditor posed, "Was she trying to end her life? Quietly?" Another countered, "Or was someone else trying to disable the car then cover their tracks?" The truth? Still unknown. Enter the online gumshoes. Reddit detectives, podcast hosts, amateur voicemails, YouTube theorists. They pore over every detail. Exit interviews, gas station CCTV, restaurant receipts, witness interviews. Some thread theories that match police reports. Others go further, convincing themselves Maura was living under a new identity. Major controversies erupted. A popular Reddit post claimed someone saw Maura working in a bar in Boston in 2005. Another user believed connecting church volunteer records with missing girls led to someone in Maine. None panned out. Some were outright fabrications. Critics argue when speculation has no guardrails, it becomes a public guessing game, that re-traumatizes families. But supporters say it shines light when official resources fade away. So this begs the question, when does help become harm? The case gained traction on Reddit years later. r/Maura Murray became a battleground of speculation, with theories ranging from logical to ludicrous. Here are the most circulated. Thoughtful, the wrong car theory. Some believe the car found was staged, and Maura never actually crashed it. It's far-fetched, but not impossible. Serious, abduction. She accepted a ride and the driver turned predator. Given the short window and lack of tracks, this theory carries weight. Whispering, Voluntary disappearance. She planned it, vanished to start over. Reddit sleuths point to her removed ID, cash, and computer history as proof. Somber. Suicide in the woods. She ran into the forest and died of exposure. But no remains have ever been found, despite extensive searches. One Redditor mused, thoughtful, maybe the mystery isn't how she disappeared, but how nobody found her. Gravely, that's the terrifying possibility, that her remains are out there, silent, hidden beneath pine needles and snowdrifts, or, whispering, she's not out there at all. Maura's case isn't unique. Let's look at two parallel disappearances. Amy Lynn Bradley, 1998. Disappeared from a cruise ship, last seen on camera. Hundreds of tips, no closure. Brandon Swanson, 2008. On his way home from college, crashed his car, called parents, vanished on a dark roadside. No trace found, despite thorough searches. Both cases mirror Maura's. Remote settings, failed immediate investigations, lack of bodies, heavy online speculation. In Amy's case, the FBI reopened the case in 2014. In Brandon's, police eventually concluded he probably walked into a river. But the families still demand answers. These cases provide sobering context. Systems can fail, but also prompt incremental reforms, like improved data sharing, psychological autopsy protocols, search and rescue standards, and cross-jurisdictional cooperation. The journalist who brought this case into mainstream true crime, his book True Crime Addict, explores Maura's case in obsessive detail, sometimes too obsessive. Critics argue he blurred ethics, he doxed people, questioned relatives, and theorized wildly, yet he reignited public interest, and the internet followed. From podcasts to YouTube to Reddit, Maura's case became digital folklore, but not without consequences. The Murray family pleaded for boundaries. Her sister Julie once said, "Maura wasn't a puzzle piece, she was a person." Sometimes the very people trying to solve a mystery become part of its noise. And as the years passed, more questions arose than answers. 2025 marked 21 years since Maura vanished. Billboards still stand near Haverhill. Age-progressed photos circulate. Candlelight vigils continue. Recent efforts have brought hope. New searches, new technology, DNA testing. In 2022, investigators searched a basement of a nearby home based on cadaver dog alerts. Nothing conclusive was found. Cold case teams are re-interviewing old witnesses, but no breaks, no body, no final chapter. One eerie detail remains. Every year, on the anniversary, someone leaves flowers at the site of the crash. No one knows who. Maybe it's a relative, maybe a guilty conscience. Maybe Maura's still alive. That's the kind of case this is, one where even the silence feels suspect. If this story haunted you as much as it haunted me, consider subscribing to Crime Uncoded. We break down cases that fall through the cracks, the stories the mainstream forgets, the mysteries that still whisper in the dark. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a new decoding. Leave a comment, especially if you have theories, updates, or local insights. And remember, the scariest monsters are the ones that look just like us. Until next time, this has been Crime Uncoded, signing off. Stay safe, stay skeptical, and never ignore your gut.